Hi, it's journalist and share trader Caroline Stephen. We have a trading treat on our YouTube channel today with charting legend and market wizard, the wonderful Peter Brandt. Peter is a trading superstar and now is officially a recognised market wizard. I first interviewed Peter a few years ago on Talking Trading, and as we made the evolution to YouTube, we wanted to capture Peter's trading journey on video for you to share. Peter today shares his 6 decades of experience in the market, his trading wisdom, and his trading specifics. We hope you enjoy.
It's good being back with you, my friend. It's always fun being on your program. I always enjoy it. I look forward to it. I think I've done more with you than anyone, mainly because I like doing interviews with you. I can have fun with you and you laugh about it.
Yay. Thank you. That's what we want. Peter, let's go back to the beginning. How did you get your start in trading?
I lived in Chicago. I was in a different business. I was in the advertising business. I knew a man whose child was in youth sports with mine. He was a trader at the Chicago Board of Trade. I didn't know anything about commodity trading. I knew, I was in like early to mid 20s. I didn't know anything about finance. And he invited me down to see what he did at the Chicago Board of Trade. And I went down and had lunch with him on the 5th floor, overlooking the 4th floor trading pits at the Chicago Board of Trade. And I was absolutely captivated. And I'm going, whoa, people make their living doing this? You're kidding me. And he invited me down a couple more times. I started reading about it. I became a little bit familiar with what it was because I knew nothing at the beginning. But I just really felt like it was calling my name. I felt like there was a connection here. The idea that I could know at the end of the day exactly how I did. It wasn't like a corporate job where you really never knew. You didn't have to sit in meetings. You didn't have to write memos. You didn't have to. You didn't have to say nice things to people you really didn't mean, and not only that, these guys started their job at 9:30 in the morning, and so I told the head of the advertising agency, and at the time it was the 4th or 5th largest advertising agency in the world, handling just wonderful, huge accounts like McDonald's and Campbell's Food Company and Godiva Chocolate. And I told them I'm going to quit and I'm going to go down and I'm going to become a trader. And if I wash out in a year, will they hire me back for a raise? And Dick Needham, who is one of the founders of the advertising agency, said, yeah, of course we will. So, I kind of had the freedom to fly. I had plan B. I had a young family, but, when you're in your 20s, you're fearless. You don't think about failure. Those things don't cross your mind. I just never thought about the fact that I wasn't going to make it as a trader. And so I went down, and it took me a number of years to learn. Actually, it took me probably 4 years to learn the ropes, learn how to trade, try to figure out how you do this. In the meanwhile, I happened to bring in some really big customers to the grain company I was with. And so I was earning some commissions as a customer's man in the process. And so it wasn't like I was completely starving. I had some commission income that was coming in from these customers that were doing their grain business with the company I was with, which was Continental Grain Company. And so I had a little bit of floor underneath me. I was earning a little bit of living doing this. My goal was to eventually be on my own, be a trader, to break off, start my own trading company, and to no longer work for the grain company. That was where I wanted to go. I knew that the minute I went to the Board of Trade. And it took a while. It took me a couple of years to really understand the grain business, the commodity business. It took me a couple of years to figure out the whole business of trading, how I wanted to trade. I wiped out a few accounts along the way, but eventually gained some traction. Probably about 4 years into the process, I started gaining some confidence. And about the 5th year, I felt I was good. I quit working for the grain company. I went off on my own. I grub staked at my company, and I think I got lucky with the first couple trades, and the rest was history. I look back and I had some really good people that mentored me. I'm not sure I would have made it without the help of people who really showed me the ropes and helped me understand some of the things about the business. And the markets back then were wonderful markets. We had very, very good markets back at that period of time. And so we had strong trending markets. It was capable to catch some moves and do well. And so I came out of the blocks, and it was a wonderful time to actually start off. And I was able to achieve early success, and I was able to solidify that early success. And with good money management, I really was able to settle in and make a career out of it. Even to this day, Colin, I sometimes pinch myself and wonder, wow, really? This is how I earn my living? I earn my living trading? I mean, how many people do that? It's a crazy way that you're able to support yourself as a trader for as many years as I have. I go back to the 1970s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s. So, I've been a trader in 6 different decades, and I still love trading, so I still trade. But it's been a good ride.
Still captivates you?
It does. I got to say that, sometimes when markets are a little bit more challenging, it doesn't captivate me to the same extent. Obviously, it's better to have fun in good markets than it is when the markets are challenging. Markets have been a little challenging for me. This isn't, I'm profitable for the year, but it's not a stellar year. And, with COVID and the market volatility that we've had and some choppy markets in the markets that I like to trade, especially in foreign exchange, it's been a challenging year. So, obviously it's easier for me after I've had a good week or month or a couple months to say, boy, I'm really having fun, than it is, when you're kind of scraping along and treading water, looking out for sharks that are swimming below you. But yeah, by and large, I'd rather be doing this than collecting stamps or playing golf.
But not pickleball. Peter,
but not pickleball.
Or walking in the desert. Could you describe for the listeners your approach to trading?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy approach. It's simple almost to a fault. I'm a chartist. I pay attention to price charts. I don't pay attention to what people call indicators. I have really stochastics and MACD and all of these other things. I just don't have time for them in my life. They're too complicated for me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I avoid them. I do use a moving average, a simple moving average, but I don't use it in a systematic way. I use it as a proxy for a trend. I don't believe in trend lines. And so even though I'm a chartist, I don't hold a lot of faith in trend lines. And so I just use some simple moving averages as a way to say, the market is trending higher, or the market is trending lower. And so I'm a classical chartist based on Edwards and McGee and Richard W. Schaubacher, the early writers of it. And I really don't look at all patterns. I look for rectangles, and I look for head and shoulders patterns, and I look for right angle triangles, or some people would call them descending or ascending triangles. I look for patterns that take anywhere from 8 to 26 weeks to form. I'm not a day trader. I don't look at hourly charts. I look at daily charts. I look at weekly charts. And if I don't see a pattern on a weekly chart, that's my starting point. So I have to see a pattern on a weekly chart, and it has to be one of the patterns that are patterns that I trade.
They're macro patterns.
Yep. And it has to be clear. And if there's any doubt about what it is, I cross it off my list. And so, I'm really looking for 50 trades a year spread out over, probably 50 stocks and 50 different commodities and 20 different Forex pairs. And I'm looking for these patterns, and I wait for a breakout. And when we get a breakout by a certain margin, I go with it and I cross my fingers and I put a protective stop in. And, I hope that, out of 50 trades, I can get 7 or 8 trades that work. I can make a living on 7 or 8 profitable trades in a year.
Wow. You're still trading Bitcoin?
I still am definitely trading. It's my largest position right now, as a matter of fact.
We did an interview about 4 years ago, and we talked about the cup and handle, yes, on gold. And you were right. Gold had rung a bell. It had bottomed.
Yep. And we've gone up and we've tested the 2000. Well, actually, we went through the 2011 high up by a little bit. So there was an Italian philosopher statistician by the name of Vilfredo Pareto, and it's the Pareto Principle. And the Pareto Principle is 20% of events produce 80% of the outcome. And so I really am a believer of the Pareto Principle when applied to trading. That 15% of my trades have produced 85% of my profits. So my job is to be able to stay with those trades and allow them to become part of the 15% and to try to reduce the damage of the 85% of the trades. Because I could have the 15% make money, Carolyn, but if the 85% wipe out all the profits, well, I'm back to the starting gate. And so I really need to have the 85% break even with small losses and a few smaller gains. And so somehow I need to have the 85% of those trades wash each other out so the 15% can produce my bottom line. And, I do that primarily by again, looking for very, very specific patterns. I trade setups. I don't trade what some people would call narratives. I don't create some grand narrative that if crude oil does this, then the US dollar will do that, and interest rates will do that, and the stock market will do that. That reminds me a little bit of watching a dog chasing its tail. It's every time it's going to get close to the tails are going to move away from them. And so I have no interest in doing that. I have no interest in these grand scenarios and narratives. And I trade very specific setups, and they either work or in most cases they don't work.
What markets do you trade? What do you look at?
I look at Bitcoin. I don't look at what all these people call altcoins. I don't believe in them, frankly. I think most of them are going to become worthless. So why would I trade something that's going to become worthless? I trade the currencies, and there I trade US dollars against the majors. Aussie, New Zealand, yen, euro currency, Canadian, Swiss franc, British pound. And so I'll trade majors, and I just trade some major minors, US dollar or Norway, or I don't trade the exotics. And then I trade all commodity markets. If there's a commodity market that's viable, and that's a Singapore exchange, Tokyo exchange, Australia, the ASX, European, and so there's probably about 30 to 40 futures contracts that I look at, and that's my first love. I love leveraged markets. That's my bread and butter.
Describe your day trading for us. Give us a snapshot into Peter L. Brandt's day trading life. Well, not day trading life, trading in a day.
No, I hear what you say. What's my routine? I've always woken up with Europe, only because I was a trader and I traded Forex. And so, when you're a trader and you trade Forex, you tend to live your day based on what's going on in Europe. And so, I'm usually up at 4:30.
Wow.
That's on the desert. So we're mountain time here. We're a mountain state. And, I look at the orders. I don't actually consider myself a trader. I consider myself an order enterer. That's my job, is to enter orders. And I enter all my orders, or look at the orders and make any revisions to the orders. I use good till canceled orders that are open, open orders. And I enter my orders or revise my orders usually around 5 p.m. in my time, between 4 and 5. And by 5, I'm done, and I don't really pay attention then to markets, this time of the day. I mean, they're either gonna, I don't want to pay much attention to the markets. And so, when the day opens, early in the morning, I'll kind of take a look at my orders again. I look what happens overnight. Do I need to make any changes to orders? And usually not. At any given time, I might have anywhere from 4 to 7, maybe 8 positions on, and those for the most part are going to either be gone in 2 days because they're losses, or they're going to be profits, and I'll stay with them. Maybe I'll put on 1 or 2 trades in a week, new trades in a week. And I try to then get busy during the day. I don't want to pay attention to the markets during the day, because I'll come and I'll start watching the screen blink and prices change, and I'll allow myself to sabotage myself. And I want to remove myself from the emotion of price discovery.
You don't look like a self-sabotager. You don't sound like a self-sabotager.
I think we all are. I mean, I've never met a trader who wouldn't find a new creative way to sabotage themselves. And so my job is to keep my inner demons as far away from the clicking enter on order as I possibly can. I don't want to enter a lot of trades. I don't want to do a lot of trading. I want to minimize the number of trading events that I can have. And so, I'll trade any given market anywhere from 0 times in a year to maybe, in the case of gold, where we've had real active markets, dating back to really June of last year. I probably traded gold 6 times in that period of time, because we've had real active markets. And so, I want to try to find trades that'll run for a while. And I don't want to day trade. I want to be able to keep a position. My goal is, how can I get a position on that I don't have to take off right away?
Yes. Yeah. So you don't like day trading?
Oh, I don't day trade. The only reason I would day trade is if I have a loss. And so I'd enter an order and it would trap me. It trapped me in. It was a false breakout, and it reverses during the day. And as a general rule, I don't like taking losses home. I don't like having losses when I go to bed at night. I don't like having a position that's showing red ink. So I may make a decision once I see the markets close, and I can look at that at 4 o'clock. Then you have the reopenings here. Markets are really only S&P futures, for instance. They're only closed for a few minutes and then they reopen. All the markets I trade pretty much trade for the most part around the clock, but they have a closing price. There's a close in the afternoon that they use to settle the market, and so if I notice that the market's a loser, I'll wait for the reopening, and I'll probably cover the position or put in a stop that's extremely close and not allow it to go against me anymore. I mean, my job is really to take losses. I'm paid to take small losses. And some people get offended by losses. Why would I be offended by losses, Carolyn? My job is to take losses. So why would that be offensive to me? That's what I get paid to do, is take small losses, because profits generally have a way of growing and taking care of themselves. And so, if I can really superintend and guard the gate against big losses by taking just small losses, that's when Pareto, it really can pay dividends for me. Is I'm going to find that 10 to 15% of my trades that work from day one, and they work day two, and they work day three, and they don't look back for a month or two.
So what time frames do you normally look at when you trade?
Well, my big time for analysis is really usually Friday afternoons. Friday afternoons, I do a scroll. I go through probably 200 symbols, and it's weekly charts only. Yeah, only weekly charts. And I'm going to have positions on. I'm going to on a Friday afternoon. I'm going to have 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 different trades on, and probably 2 or 3 orders that I've been working all week that did not execute. And so I know I'm interested in those markets, but I just look for particular things. And so by the end of the day, Friday, I have a list of about 20 symbols. And I look at those again on Saturday. And then on Saturday, I zero down and I look at the daily charts. And then Sunday afternoon is when I enter the orders, which really are my blueprint orders. That's when I really set up my order flow for the week. And so really between Friday late afternoon, just before the markets close, until Sunday when they reopen, that's really the bulk of my week. That's really the bulk of my week takes place there. And once the markets are open, I want my orders in by Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock my time. I want the orders in. And so my orders are in, and then I might change a couple orders during the week. I'll be stopped out of something inevitably. I'll take a loss during that week inevitably. And maybe there'll be 1 or 2 markets that'll catch my eye that I didn't really see, or that during the course of the week it shows something a little different than I thought. And so I might add that to my list. And so I kind of keep an ongoing list of the symbols that I'm willing to trade for that week. And that's usually not more than 10 or 12 symbols. That will be about it. If I count the positions I have on, and I count the markets in which I have an order in to initiate a trade, and maybe a couple other markets that, well, it's close, but it's not there. We're really only taking a look at, maybe, right now I only have 1 Forex pair I'm paying attention to. And I'm not paying attention to any precious metals right now. And a few stocks I'm looking at. I'm trading the grain markets, and, so for the most part, my week is a function of managing what I started on Friday afternoon and really what concluded on Sunday before the markets open again. And then I'm basically managing that process.
Do you still know your trading plan better than you know your own wife of 45 years?
Well, she'd probably say that. But how well do you ever know a woman?
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you think markets are unpredictable?
What are you talking about? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I've known a lot of really good traders in my life, and, a number of our close friends. And I think that there is this misconception by, and I love the fact that we've got a lot of the younger generations are coming in and embracing trading. I think that is so encouraging. I love that.
That's nice.
But I think they have a misconception that, traders, they've got 10 screens on their walls and they're shouting and yelling.
Yes.
And I've visited my friends throughout the world who are good traders, and you go into their office, you think you're visiting an undertaker. there's not a lot of pizzazz that takes place, right? I mean, I think that there's not shouting. Most of the really good traders I know, they don't want to have big emotional ups and downs. They don't want to get excited about trades. You know, they don't want to get excited about winners, and they don't want to get bummed out about losers. They want to be on a steady keel. They want to be in a comfortable place. They want to be emotionally neutral. They don't want a lot of yelping and screaming and hollering and way to go and high five. And it's not the world they want to live in, because they know that's not a world that you can maintain. You can't maintain that world.
You're very close to a lot of the market wizards, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, and you know, it's really cool to be. We try to get together for a union every few years. There's a number of us that try to get together. The last time we got together was in Colorado Springs, I think, in probably 2015, and it's fun being with them because we don't really talk about markets. You know, we talk about other stuff, and you know, seldom will you. Well, how do you get your buy signal? To use indicators, and you never hear people. You never hear them talking about that, right? It's like, how do you tell your wife she can't have a budget?
That's unfair.
Huh?
That's unfair.
Oh, but you know, you bring that up to traders, and I'll resonate with that because they know exactly what that's like. How do I know how I'm gonna do this month, right? So, yeah. Yeah, or how do you know, what do you do to burn off, you know, what do you do when you feel like you're emotionally down? How do you get back up? And, you know, how do you survive the down times? And,
that's a good question. What do you do when you're emotionally down? How do you get back up, Peter?
Well, I don't want to get emotionally down. I mean, I really try not to. I really spend energy actually not to. I'd rather spend energy not to get emotionally down than have to spend the energy to get out of a hole. You know, Caroline, everyone talks about drawdowns. You know, I've dropped 30% of my account. But what about emotional drawdowns? Emotional drawdowns are a lot more severe, or can be, than asset drawdowns. You can have an emotional drawdown, and it can kill. It can kill. It's killed a lot of trading careers because people haven't figured out how to get back out of that. And you know, I think you gotta, for one thing, you just have to recognize that as a trader, you need to protect your assets. If you can keep your assets together, if you can keep your capital somewhat together, you can survive just about anything, and eventually you'll figure out a way out of it, right? I mean, if you just, when you start taking big losses, that's then when you've taken a big losses and you've had an emotional drawdown, then that's really not a very good place to be. You know, you can get bummed out about bad trading, but if your capital is still intact, you know, eventually you'll find a solution. You know, eventually you've bought time to try to figure out how to resolve it.
What's been one of the worst mistakes you've made, either financially or trading the markets? Can you share? Or maybe we just don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I would talk about that. Is I focused, you know, I'm of the age where it's easy to look back and, you know, Monday morning quarterback your life, right? I mean, and so at my age, you don't just Monday morning quarterback your last trade, you Monday morning quarterback your whole life. And I realize I've been really, really, really good at making money, but I have not been really, really good at building real significant major wealth. And that's because I've remained too liquid. You know, so my biggest position over the years has been long dollars. In other words, long a depreciating asset. And so you may end up the year, you know, over time, the US, all fiat currencies lose. So I wish that I had spun off more money on an ongoing basis and either put it into quality blue chip stocks on a regular investment basis, right? Every month, move money into quality blue chips, or even SPY, buy SPY or buy QQQ, or into income producing real estate.
Mm.
And so, if I could roll back the clock, I would have put my money in a better position to earn money for me. And so the day would come when I wouldn't have to always trade to generate cash flow. That cash flow would be provided for me because I haven't accumulated this big pot of money. Instead, I've moved money into assets that would benefit me without me having to turn on my computer to have it happen.
So what would be your advice for novice traders?
Don't trade. Don't be anxious to think that you're going to quit your day job. If you never quit your day job, I think if you can have steady income, don't be antsy to become a trader. Let that happen organically. Don't resign from your job and think you're going to do 200% a year trading stocks or trading crypto. Instead, keep your job and learn how to trade in your spare time. And I would say, if you're young and you can put money away, you put money away. You spin off, let's say 70% of your money into quality stocks. The S&P, the SPY, I think is a good place to put money, and put 30% of your money into Bitcoin, and you just do it on a regular basis. And meanwhile, learn to trade, and don't even think about creating a big trading account until you've made money with a smaller amount of money. I can't tell you, Carolyn, the number of people that I have heard from that quit their job thinking that they're going to make their living trading. And when I really dig down into that, they haven't had a profitable year yet. And I just find that absolutely unbelievable. I mean, for me, that's insane. And so I tell people, even if you want to be a full-time trader and you want to see if you can take a crack at making it as a trader, I would say, if not all the money in your account represents profits you've already taken out of the market, forget it. If you can't live through the markets having lost money for the first year or 2 years, then don't do it. And if you don't have enough money saved in the bank to pay for all of your living expenses separate from what's in your account, then don't do it. Because I find people that feel like they got to make money. They quit their job. Now they have to make money in the markets. Not only that, they're depending on the fact they're going to make 200% a year to cover their bills. I don't know where people get this reasoning, but it's just, to me, insane. And so I think trading is an exciting thing. I always encourage people to trade. I think trading is a wonderful thing to do, but I think that it must be done after one knows that one can be successful at it. Don't stake your life and your job and everything, all your wealth on trading. If you know that what you're doing is not making money. And I just hear about this all the time. People just quit their jobs and they max out their student debt thinking they're going to trade crypto and make their living trading crypto. That, to me, just doesn't make sense.
What's one thing you wish you had have known when you first started your career?
The one thing that I underestimated is the amount of deterioration in buying power fiat currencies would have.
Yeah.
I think I put way too much faith on the fact that you've got money in the bank and that because that money is in currencies and that just erodes over time. it's not noticeable from year to year, although I think most people have realized inflation in a lot of areas this year that they haven't necessarily in the last few years. But, that's one of those compounding things, right? I don't think I understood the power of compounding, because compounding can benefit you if you're constantly putting money into high grade equities. But compounding also works against you when you're talking about the compounded nature of the deterioration of fiat currencies. I really did. I don't think I really underappreciated how damaging it is to keep money in fiat currencies. It should not measure your wealth based on measured in fiat currency terms. Measure it based on ounces of gold or bitcoins or acres of land or apartment buildings you own or that sort of thing.
All right. Peter, can I ask what freedom looks like to you?
Oh, wow.
Just a general question,
Yeah. I think freedom for me is the fact that, hey, I'm going to be myself, and people are either going to like it or they're not going to like it. So tough luck.
We like it.
Yeah, that's one aspect of freedom. I don't have to. I don't have to impress anyone. I don't even have to think twice about it. I'm just going to be what I'm going to be, and that's the way it is. I think freedom for me, I think, is a sense to realize there's not much left on my bucket list I need to cross off, and what I need to cross off is really not that important. And I've accomplished what I'd like to do, and I mean, I've talked to my family about this. COVID's a serious deal, but people talk about that. That miserable way to die.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid of death, and it freaks me out, the process of having an excruciating way to die. But it's death itself that doesn't faze me at all. And so in that, there's freedom, right? There's freedom in that. It's not something I'm going to worry about, and so I guess for me, that would be freedom.
What else is on your bucket list?
Well, I wanted to go to Australia. That's not going to happen. I really want to take my wife to Paris, because Paris is such an enchanting city, and I don't think that's going to really happen. I'd like to take my grandkids to Disney if it ever reopens.
Yeah.
And they're now getting of the age where I can start doing that. That's really that's really what I want to be able to do, is be able to take my grandkids on their own, just grandpa and my grandkids. I'd like to take them to Disney or take them on a trip, take them on a cruise if cruise lines ever start opening again.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. So just if you were giving your grandchildren advice about life, about money, what would you say to them?
Find a job that you enjoy doing. Life's too short to do something that's drudgery to you. Really find a job that you can have passion for, and see if you can figure out a way to make a living doing something you're passionate about. That to me is, I think a lot of people spend their whole life doing something that's drudgery for them.
You've been passionate about the markets your whole life? Still captivating?
I have been. I've really enjoyed trading. Trading to me has been an extremely exciting, it's been a challenge. It's an intellectual challenge. I mean, it's a challenge in every regard. Because there's an old saying that's so true. If you want to know yourself, really know yourself, you're good, you're bad, you're ugly, become a trader. Some people think that if I can only figure out a way to know when to buy or sell what. That's the challenge of trading, and that's not the challenge of trading. The challenge of trading is know yourself, be honest with yourself, know what inner demons you have that conspire against you, that are out to sabotage your success, and how do you manage that? So you got to really know yourself. You got to know what you're good at. You got to know what you're not so good at. You got to figure out what strengths to play to, what weaknesses to kind of counteract. And so the challenge of trading is really almost a matter of you trying to figure out a way to beat yourself and not the markets, because you have to figure out a way that you can use the things you're good at and counteract the things you're bad at, and manage your emotions and manage your intellect and manage how you think, and find a way that will be compatible with the whole business of market speculation. And there are some people that unfortunately they've got their character nature is not, they really shouldn't be trading, because they have certain aspects of their character nature which are completely incompatible with being a market speculator. But that's part of speculating, is to figure out whether that's true or not. I know people who I give credit to because they finally said, I can't trade. It's not who I am. And I'm not going to bash my head against the wall trying to overcome the fact that constitutionally that's not who I am. That's when you try to find people to give your money to and let them do it for you.
You still got back to report?
I do, although it's gone into transition. It's on the exit road now. We're on the exit ramp, winding it down.
Oh.
I used to do, a 18 to 20 page report weekly. Don't do that anymore. I put out some comments. I put out a monthly thing that just kind of looks at things. If I see something really that I think is really spectacular and has great potential, I'll put out a 1 or 2 page thing on that. But I haven't done that even much this year. So, I do a lot on social media. I've got a, private, I connect with people who are like-minded on a kind of a private social thing. I tweet. I like agitating people on Twitter, and so I have fun doing that. But yeah, I'm really kind of slowing up. I really see that I've only got a certain number of years left, and like I said, I really my grandkids are getting to the age where I really enjoy being around them. I'm not a very good grandpa to little kids, and I will admit that. These little terrorists and I don't get along. But when they start hitting their teen years, I really do enjoy being around them, and I really want to be around them more. And that's a small window between the time that I enjoy being around them and the time that they're off to college and don't want anything to do with me anymore. And so, I want to be able to take advantage of that, spend more time too. That's why we moved to Minnesota and Arizona, is to be around my kids and try to help them with their kids, is be available to my kids to pick up kids from grade school and run and get some groceries if they're out of groceries and do things like that. And so, I'm trying to make myself more available with my own children as well as my grandchildren.
Send a photo through with your grandchildren. That'd be amazing. They're very lucky grandchildren.
Yeah, well, they're fun. They're fun except when they're not.
And you pull them into line. Peter L. Brandt, people can find you on Twitter. Anywhere else people can find you?
That's about the only place they can find me.
Well, I hope you get to Disneyland with your grandkids, and I hope you get to Paris.
Thanks, Caroline. And I hope maybe someday they even come to Sydney. But
I hope to come to the States. Yeah. And if I do, I'll try and get to Arizona or Minnesota. I'll look you up, see where you are on the map.
All right. We'll see you later, my friend.
Bye, my friend. Thank you so much for your time today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.